Clara went to see her friend in Bordentown, New Jersey. And while she was there, noticed a bunch of boys hanging out on the street corner. And so she talked to the boys about, well, how come you guys are hanging out? Aren't you be in school? We don't go to school. What do you mean don't go to school? Well, we have no school to go to. There's a private school in town, but we can't afford that. So there was a school board. She approached the school board, and she and her friend, both teachers, said, hey, we want to teach these boys. Okay, fine. So they had space, and she grew the school from 6 to 200 in about 2 years. And it turned out to be the first public school system in Bordentown, New Jersey. And she was a teacher there for a couple of years. Opportunity came to be the principal, but because she was female, she was not considered, and she finished her teaching, and so she moved to Washington, D.C., got a job in the patent office as a clerk. The first big battle in the Civil War was Manassas or Bull Run, and it turned out to be a Union rout. So as the Union troops came flooding back into Washington, many of them injured, that's when it concerned her about who's taking care of these men. And she was able to collect supplies and make them available, and oddly enough, stored them in her apartment. And so she got those supplies, and she actually organized wagons and take them out there on the battlefield. Her dad had taught her that the best place for medical supplies are right behind where the guys are fighting. So the Antietam battlefield, where she got the nickname Angel of the Battlefield, she was able at night to move those wagons of supplies up closer to the battlefield. Toward the end of the war, the Confederacy released many Union prisoners, and they were coming through Annapolis, Maryland. Clara Barton wrote a letter to Lincoln asking, could I get permission to have this Office of Correspondence set up in Annapolis, and I will try to match prisoners with family. Then she found out that there were a lot of missing men. So the prisoner exchange correspondence became an office of missing soldiers. And she was receiving thousands of letters by the time the war ended, and making connections to match up the missing or the prisoners with family. For health reasons, after the Civil War, she heard about these health spa, sanitarium type in Switzerland, and she went there, and she heard about a movement called the International Red Cross, founded by Henri Dunant, who was a Swiss businessman. And she was encouraged by Henri Dunant's associates to come back here to America and get the president, at that time President Garfield, to sign what we would now call the Geneva Convention. When the Red Cross was first organized, and we have a charter then and charter now, that we as an obligation need to respond to disasters, which could be war or peacetime, and service to the military, veterans and their families. Because we're part of that international body, we also respond to those disasters overseas. When the Red Cross was first organized, at that time the major disaster was the Civil War. She was able to encourage and get them thinking. It was even called the Clara Barton Amendment, that American Red Cross would then respond to natural disasters. So after the organization happened in 1881, the first natural disaster they responded to were a bunch of forest fires in Michigan. The biggest thing that, and I kind of chuckle about this, when she started this 1881, she was 60 years old. So she's a CEO of a company at 60 years old. And she felt like she had to be out there where the action was. And she would say, I'm here with the wounded. From the 1881, she became the American Red Cross president in 1900. Yeah, I would say Clara Barton was an entrepreneur. She had a vision for what she wanted to do. What she needed from people was some action. She had a story, and what's the ask? Well, the ask could be, I need volunteer support, I need money to help us keep things going. She wasn't getting any federal grants of any kind. I need manpower, I need supplies and resources, and the way to move it around. She saw people hurting on the battlefield, and her vision was an organization that could respond, American Red Cross. She was a teacher. She saw kids on the street corner in Bordentown, New Jersey that had no place to go, but they should have been in the classroom, and she carried out that vision and organized the first public school system in Bordentown, New Jersey. Meeting with Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton and the women's suffrage movement, she felt like, I can support that, but I got to focus on that Red Cross vision. And she was a boots on the ground kind of lady.